Hi everyone and welcome back. It's Christine here from Ever After Paper Crafts, and today I have another Marie Antoinette junk journal to share with you. If you saw my last video, you know that I am doing a series of junk journals with a Marie Antoinette theme, and this is the first of my pocket boho sized junk journals that I'm sharing with this theme. I have created 4 large versions, and the first one of those was posted about a week ago here on YouTube. If you're interested, you can check my channel out for that particular video. That journal is not for sale, but I have 3 others in that same size that will be for sale, and I will be popping back on YouTube soon to do a walkthrough of those. I have also made 2 of this size, which are, let me grab my ruler because honestly I can't recall. These are 4 by 6, and then the spine is 2 inches. So they're a little bit smaller, but they still have all the beautiful textiles and beads and danglies and other things that you would expect to see in a Marie Antoinette themed junk journal. So let's go ahead and get started. This particular journal will be for sale in my Etsy shop, and I will have a link to the listing below in the description box of this video. I also want to point out that I did make this journal based on a course that I took from Mrs. Cog's Crafts. She has a lot of classes up on Teachable, and you can purchase them through Etsy, through her Etsy store, which is, again, Mrs. Cog's Crafts. And the class that I took to create this journal is her Pocket Boho Junk Journal course, and I will link that below. Also, almost all of the digitals used in this journal, except for this one on the cover and 2 more inside. So except for those 3 images, all of the other images that you see throughout this journal are from Mrs. Cog's Crafts as well. They're from her Marie Antoinette digital image set. And I will have a link to that in my description box of this video below as well. So this is the cover that I have created. This is a soft covered junk journal, and it is covered by a very thick, beautiful upholstery fabric, most of which is covered on the cover. We have this gorgeous image of Marie Antoinette, this beautiful jewel piece here, an applique here, and then along the bottom we have this gorgeous trim with beads dangling that goes all the way along the side and the back of the journal. And then of course this is the back, the fabric. As you can see, it's got some beautiful pinks and greens. Here is the spine, and the color scheme went beautifully with this particular painted image of Marie Antoinette with the pink and green color scheme. I have tied it here, as you can see, with some gorgeous light pink sari silk. It's still shedding a little bit. Sari silk does shed, and even though I have spent quite some time trying to pick all the floofies off, it's going to shed for about a week. And then about a week after using it and being in and out of the book, that will stop, and you won't have to worry about these anymore. That's just the nature of sari silk. It does that for whatever reason, but I promise it does stop eventually. So let's go ahead. I'm going to untie this bow here, and then we'll go ahead and peek inside. So it's a very simple bow to untie. Here is what the side looks like before we kind of get inside of it. I do like to kind of bring it up and show the different textiles that I used. Lots of beautiful fringes and laces and things. And then along the bottom as well, you can see I have all these beautiful dangles coming out of the bottom. Mrs. Cog in her course sort of compares these to petticoats, and I think that is such a phenomenal analogy to make. It really does feel like, you know, dressing up a petticoat of a beautiful dress to make it even more pretty and stand out. So it's a lot of fun to make this style of journal. I did want to quickly just show you some charms that I used while I'm standing here close up to the camera. This is a little diamond charm that I used on the side here. And all the charms are attached with jump rings to some of the lace tabs along the side. Here's a little crown charm there, if you can see that. Hopefully the camera's picking that up. I've sewn lots of buttons onto the sides. Here's a feather charm. We know Marie Antoinette loved to put feathers in her headdresses, so I thought that was appropriate for this theme. All of the journals have the feather charm. Here is a pretty little pearl with some diamond diamonds at the top charm. I believe this came from the Timeline collection that Hobby Lobby sells. I think it was on clearance when I got it, so I don't know if it's still available. And then I have some safety pins with some gorgeous beadwork because, you know, it wouldn't be one of my journals without beads. So we have those, and I think I may have missed one. I did. Here's some pink beadwork here as well, attached there, as you can see. All right, and then I think there is one more charm, but I'm not finding it quickly, so we will just point it out as we flip through the journal itself. It's a Fleur-De-Lis charm that I believe I put somewhere in the, oh, there it is, on the last signature there. So those are all the different charms, close-ups of them, and we'll see them again as we kind of flip through this. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, when you open it up, it is full of goodness. I love my journals to open up and just sort of fan like so, so you can really see all the beautiful goodies inside. From the top, I also have lots of textiles at the top, including some lurex sari silks in beautiful different colors, and some muslin as well. So that is what is along the top. So opening this up, as you can see, it does lay flat, even though it's quite full of textiles and other goodies. It does lay flat and is usable as a junk journal. I always send along, when I sell my junk journals, some extra clothespins in the package, and these are very helpful for keeping the pages open, especially towards the beginning. Once you get to the middle, you really don't need it, but towards the beginning and the end, sometimes you just need a little bit of weight on the pages to keep them down. And so I always send along some extra clothespins for that purpose. So here's the inside of the front cover. I just have this beautiful image here of Marie Antoinette. I have a tea-dyed doily up here and a beautiful applique from Sheila Gingrich. Most of the images are tuck spots, and I've done quite a bit of stamping. All of the index cards that are in the tuck spots have been tea-dyed, and many of them have been stamped on as well. I use stamps from Stampin' Up! As well as Graphic 45 from their Gilded Lily set, or collection rather, which is quite old, but I have been hoarding it for quite some time, and glad I was able to use it on these projects. All of the paper in the book, except for some design paper, which you'll see as we flip through, has been tea-dyed, and only some design paper has been tea-dyed. I'll point out the few pages that have not been tea-dyed, but most everything has. And what that means is I dunk it in tea, I bake it in the oven, and then I iron it. So it gives it that really fun vintagey look. So here we are on the first page, which is just decorative. Again, these images come from Mrs. Coggs Crafts, her Marie Antoinette digital set. And I just adhered this with sewing right onto the page and added some cheesecloth behind it, just to give it a fun look. And then we're just going to flip through this as quick as I can here. This is design paper that actually has been tea-dyed. So on the back, you can see it has that aged vintage look. Some of the pages do have some stenciling on them, as you can see on this page on the right. Not every page is stenciled, but many of them are. And I just use stencils I have around my craft room for that, and some distress ink. Here is design paper that was actually digital paper that I got from Etsy. This was not tea-dyed, but I did print an aged look on the back of it. So you can still journal on it, but it's not stark white. So there's that, and then we'll just keep flipping here. Lots of room to journal, as you can see. Here's one of those lace tabs with that diamond charm and a button sewed on. Here's a beautiful image that was done before Marie Antoinette went to France to marry the Prince of France. And this is a ballet that she did with some of her brothers and sisters. She was well regarded for having a beautifully elegant form. And as you can see here, this is her on the right. And she just stands out. She's just magnificent, even as a young girl. She's just absolutely beautiful. And then this is just a little tuck spot with a tea-dyed index card. If you watched my first video with the first journal that I created in this theme, I really do give sort of a rather lengthy, and I apologize, historical talk on Marie Antoinette in that video. So if you're really interested in the history, I encourage you to check out that video. I will link to it in the description box of the video below. And that way you'll also get to see what the larger journals will look like. They will be posted here on YouTube very soon. Here's the center of the first signature. So I just did a really pretty spread here. Here's Marie Antoinette on the right as a young girl, and she's playing a a piano-like instrument, although it's not called a piano. My mind just went blank as to what it's called, but it's a beautiful portrait, and I did make it a tuck spot. So I have a little tea-dyed index card here with just a little stamp there that says if the crown fits, and that fits nicely in this tuck spot here. And then on the left of this spread, I have some flashcards that I made and just printed out in distress, and I've stuck some tea-dyed tags that I've stamped on into these little pockets. This on the left here is some of that beautiful gold lurex sari silk, and I did a special little stitch. I don't have a fancy sewing machine, but it has a couple different nice stitches in it, and that's one of them. So I did do that. I'm not sure if the camera's even going to pick that up, but I did do a fun little stitch there. It is mostly covered up, but you can see it in some places. So just to keep going quickly here, you can see I have a Fleur-De-Lis stencil, which I stenciled here on this page. We'll keep going. Here's a little pocket I'd made out of some lace trim, and I just stuck some flashcards in there. Oh, let me go back for a second. I forgot to share on the first signature of all of these Marie Antoinette journals at the bottom, and I forgot to share this in my video with my first video with the first large one I made. So I apologize for that. But the first signature of each of these Marie Antoinette themed journals has an extra long sort of dangle after the signature is sewn in with some beadwork at the bottom, and it hangs out of the bottom of the book, just to add some more to the petticoats, if you will, coming out of the bottom, and some fun beadwork as well. So those are going to be in all the journals. In the first signature, you're going to find those. All right, so I think we were about here, just flipping through. Here's a portrait of Marie Antoinette in her riding gear, her horseback riding gear. This was her mother's favorite portrait of her, and her mother kept it with her until her death. And I just stuck a couple little pieces of tea-dyed note cards in there. Here's some ledger paper on the right. Just keep going here. The other side of that printed design paper. Here's a gorgeous applique that I have attached to the side, and then done some pretty beadwork hanging from a safety pin there. Some more of that tea-dyed design paper. And then here we have the end of the first signature. I love this beautiful applique here at the bottom. It's just so beautiful and sparkly, and it just screams Marie Antoinette to me. And I got this as well as a lot of the pieces that you'll see throughout this journal from Sheila Gingrich. I will link her information below in the description box of this video. She is away, I believe, still at the moment, but I'm sure when she gets back, she'll be taking orders again. Here we go to the first page of the second signature. Just a beautiful portrait of Marie Antoinette. More design paper that's been tea-dyed, more stenciling, ledger paper. There's some pretty portraits here. Again, they're all tuck spots. As you can see, I used a graphic 45 stamp for that one. And over here, we have the royal family. Marie is here, and that's her husband, the King of France. Their daughter, which was their first child, and then this was the Dauphin, who was the prince, their first son. He ended up dying quite young, and the second son became the Dauphin, but died at the age of 10, I believe, in the tower where the royal family was imprisoned during the French Revolution. This beautiful trim here at the bottom also comes from Sheila Gingrich. Like I said, there's lots of pieces from her throughout this book. More tea-dyed design paper. Here we have the center spread of the second signature. Beautiful portrait here. Very famous one. This is the one that's on the cover of lots of the books about her. And then some flashcards. Some beautiful gold here on the left. You can see that there. That's another piece from Sheila. And then more tea-dyed tags that I've just stuck into these little pockets that I made from the flashcards. This is also a tuck spot. So it says C'est Magnifique. The stamp does. That's a graphic 45 stamp there. Okay. So just lots of places to journal. So when I say this is a functioning journal, it really is. There are lots of places to journal, lots of room to actually use this as a functioning journal, as well as just a beautiful book to look through with all the beautiful images from Mrs. Cogg's Crafts. So here is a beautiful piece of lace that I have attached to the page, and then I made it a little tuck spot, and I just stuck a little flashcard in here. And I did the same with this lace here, There's a couple of flashcards in there. You can put whatever you want in the pockets. I just like to indicate that they are pockets, so I'll stick, you know, postcards or flashcards or tea-dyed index cards into the different text spots that I create in my books, just to indicate that they are, and then the recipient can do whatever they like with those. Here's a tea-dyed index card that I stamped this gorgeous Marie Antoinette image. Again, this stamp is from Graphic 45, and I just made this beautiful lace here into a pocket. Oops. Okay, yeah, that's more of that tea-dyed design paper. Some beautiful pink sparkly trim here, applique trim on the side here, and then here we are at the end of the second signature. These books, by the way, have the small size, have 3 signatures, so they're a little smaller than the big ones, but as you can see, still plenty of room to write. I loved this stamp from the Graphic 45 collection. It says that women can be overdressed but never over elegant, and Coco Chanel said that, but I think it's very fitting for Marie Antoinette in her time as well. So I thought it was very appropriate to include that quote in the Marie Antoinette themed Graphic 45 collection. So here we are now in the third signature, and I did go sort of chronologically in terms of the paintings throughout. We have, you know, the first signature where she's young, and, you know, we have some beautiful little portraits of her when she's young, before she's even in France, and then as she becomes the Dauphine, or the princess in France. And then the second signature, she's doing well as queen, and then the third signature represents the downfall, which of course was the French Revolution, and it ultimately led to the beheadings of her husband the king, and tragically Marie Antoinette as well. So they are sort of chronological in that regard, but here is a portrait of her in her last days in the Tower, and you can see just the juxtaposition of her as this young beautiful queen to that, after having been separated from her husband and her children taken from her. It had to have been traumatizing, I'm sure. Here she is in the Temple prison, and I actually forgot to put a, this is a tuck spot here, so let me just quickly place a little tag in there. I tie-dye a bunch of, or tea-dye rather, a bunch of these tags whenever I do my tea-dyeing, so I have them available. And then all I do to shorten the ties on them is just tie another knot, because the ties are incredibly long on this particular brand. And then just get the little snip. So as you can see, I have greatly reduced the size of that tag, or the twine that it is attached to the tag. And then I can just stick that in there just to indicate that's a tuck spot. So here she is in the prison. This just shows what little privacy she had. This was the bed where she slept, and then there was this little fold-away wall, and then her guards. So it was it had to have been a horrible experience. Little tea-dyed note card in there, and then just some more. Here's that Fleur-De-Lis, a button, some more stenciling. Here's a pocket made out of some lace. Another digital paper that I printed from Etsy. This is really pretty here at the bottom. This trim comes from Hobby Lobby, and it is beaded trim there at the bottom of this page. It's black and gold colored. Went perfectly with this design paper that I tea-dyed. This is part of a doily that you might set like a small lamp or something on in your home decor. But I found it from a seller on Etsy, and so I bought a couple of them, and I just cut them up, and I thought it made a really pretty little you know, little thing to kind of hang off the page here in a junk journal. I really enjoyed that. Thought that was a cute look. Another gold piece here from Sheila Gingrich, the bottom of that page. Some more beadwork here on the right page. And then just lots of room to journal. This is the center spread of the third and final signature, and we just have some depictions of various things that they went through. Some gorgeous gold ribbon at the top here, and then this lurex sari silk at the bottom. And these are, of course, tuck spots as well. And I'll just flip through the end here. This was a painter at her trial, depicting the trial and what happened there. This here is the very last letter that Marie Antoinette wrote, and I have typed it in full on this and then tea-dyed it. So it has that really nice vintagey feel. She wrote this last letter to the king's sister, who was a dear friend of hers, and who was also subsequently executed after Marie Antoinette was, and never got this letter, sadly. But it is a beautiful letter, so I have included it in tea-dyed form in all of the journals. I just thought it was an incredible piece of history, so I had to reproduce it and include it. Here she is being led to her execution, and little flashcard up here with some tea-dyed tags. Some more beadwork here on this ledger paper. This is a little tuck spot here with this gorgeous applique on the side of the page. And then here is the last page. And again, another tuck spot here. And then this is the inside of the back cover. It's a gorgeous painting of her. And then this is a tuck spot, so you have that there for some extra journaling space. And then I have attached this doily that I tea-dyed at the bottom. As you can see, I've sewn some buttons to it. And there's also a safety pin with some more beautiful pink beadwork. And then it also serves as a little tuck spot as well. I've left the top part open, so I just stuck a little tea-dyed index card there. And so that is it, guys. If you want to know all of the dimensions, the number of pages in this journal, etc., all that information will be on the Etsy listing for this journal, and I will have that link in the description box below of this video. I hope that you enjoyed this smaller version of my Marie Antoinette theme and of journals here that I am in the process of finishing up and getting them all posted for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this. By doing these smaller ones, I can make the price point cheaper than the larger ones, which I do add quotes. And just to give you an idea, this is a lot of tea-dyed paper that I have here for my last large size journal to finish up. And as you can see, I really, I add all these quotes and all these images and things like that, and that does add to the cost of them. But when I create these smaller ones, I can do them much more cost effectively. And still, I think they make beautiful journals, usable journals with plenty of room to journal inside of them. So I really hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. And again, all the links that you need will be in the description box below. Thanks again so much for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with my larger size versions of these journals. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.